What is an unusual bragging point that you take pride in? I sat next to Alec Baldwin on a flight from Nick to Boston. He boarded the plane at the last minute and paid the person in $1 billion to move. I was in 1A and asked him if he wanted to be left alone all flight or to tour. He was so surprised by that respect that we chatted the entire time. He said some dark shit. This was pre-Epstein. Pre-Me Too, and may have been pre-9/11. All the shit he mentioned eventually came through Me Too Epstein. Even Pizzagate, and how everyone was gearing up to hate people like Trump etc. because they were blowing whistles. For context, Chinese dialects are basically standalone languages with how different they sound compared to each other. I speak a rare one that only has about 1 million speakers around the world. Not a very useful language, but definitely helpful when gossiping about PPL with my family. Fun little story, my grandma and I were talking shit in this dialect in NYC, and the vendor we were talking about also spoke the language. She was so surprised that she wasn't even mad we were talking shit. She just wanted to catch up with us and ask us where we're from. A kick flip. I was so unscathed I came out the other end younger and handsomer. Where everyone else ate shit, I was dining with Frank Sinatra. I was the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas, truly untouchable. I ran my OW and role-playing game via USPS from 1986-96. Yes, my rules, my adventures for play by mail twice a month charging $7 a turn fee. I was a small company compared to others, such as Flying Buffalo, who also ran such RPGs via the mail, and many others. Action that I lasted as long as I did, and most players were very content with my science fantasy world. A few frightened me with adoration and fanatic love for it to the opposite side of pure hatred. This is to be expected in the entertainment field. In early 2010, I left my job at a law firm to move forward full-time with my own web company. My old co-workers and my bosses laughed at me and said I would be back within a few months. The following year I was making 3 times my salary. 8 years later, I sold the company for millions to a major corporation. Today, I live in a 7-figure home and own 13 other properties, all owed free and clear. The legal department I worked for was shuttered 3 years ago. Always follow your dreams and trust your gut. I pride myself on always trying to maintain and put on a positive outlook in different life situations. No matter how challenging or difficult, I always try to approach them with optimism and faith in success. This means that I find ways to put a positive spin on everything, even the darkest moments, by learning from mistakes and looking for opportunities for development and growth. This approach helps me not only to overcome difficulties, but also to keep my energy and faith in the future. I once flew off the side of a mountain on a 4-wheeler in Montana. Time legitimately slowed down when I went off the side, and I decided to hold on and land it, and then bail. Rather than bail right away and tumble down, I landed, hit a giant stump, fell into the only tiny patch of grass, and watched the ATV get wrecked. I walked away with non-serious spray pattern scratches over my right knee, and the 4x4 was smashed to bits, metal frame and all. I saved 2 people's lives. 2 different occasions. I saved an old man from drowning, he never saw my face. And I saved a child from getting hit by a car. I work in an office. It was not related to my job. Both cases it was just awareness of my surroundings and not hesitating to react. Though the old man could have drowned us both if I wasn't more careful. He fucking death crit me the second he felt my arm. One time I was in an argument and someone sent a screenshot that shows I was basically copying and pasting Wikipedia. I then sent a screenshot of the original edits made and revealed them to myself about 2 years ago. I'm a wiki nerd, and that story never fails to get some chuckles out of a group. But when I told my wiki friends they literally all freaked out. LOL, it was very satisfying and nerdy moment. NGL. Survived an avalanche. Admittedly, it was a small slab avalanche, but it still knocked me off my feet and buried some of my companions to their waists. We were very lucky, as 15 of a group of 21 were caught in it. Avalanche transceivers back then weren't able to isolate individual beacons, thus relying on 6 people to dig out 15 people through an orchestra of pings. Some, if not most of us, would have perished. I have a friend who works in physical therapy chiro type stuff, and he once told me, I've always admired your posture and the way you walk. You always have your chest out, shoulders back, and move with purpose. You just look so confident. I have never once thought of myself that way, and hearing it was such an ego boost. If anything, I thought I had bad posture. Most important one, I saved my best friend's life. 2. I found a live bullet from WW2 on the grounds of Stirling Castle when I was 7. 3. Also, my first day of school ever when I was forced televised on national TV. I had a cameraman following me around all day. A reporter interviewed me, my family, my teachers. This was in the early 90s. I still have the VHS. I used to create programming for my local public access television station, including a sketch comedy show I made with friends, family, and producing the station's first ever live broadcast, back before every person in the world had a portable video production live broadcasting studio in their pocket. I thought what I accomplished was kind of cool. I only qualify for commenting because I use SED to take pleasure in it. Now, I mostly just feel guilty about it. But I gave Hunter S. Thompson illegal drugs, in person, and he ate them, right there, in front of hundreds of people, including the uniformed NYPD officers, both standing within 10 feet of us, and I somehow didn't get arrested. I was the main tank in a guild that downed Illidan Stormrage in World of Warcraft before Warlock came out. So he was still the Burning Crusader endgame boss at the time. Very tough, and I felt so accomplished. LOL. Got me a bulwark of a zenith that got replaced almost immediately when Warlock came out. LOL. Still fun though, you are not prepared. When I was as JROTC in high school, the Marines brought a large inflatable obstacle course that we had to climb through. I won a medal for completing the course in record time in my state. Years later, I'm still pretty proud of that accomplishment. Don't get to brag about it often because it's sort of conceited, I met Joe Frazier and he took time to sit and talk to me instead of going along with his A Night with Joe Frazier night. I was a new receptionist at the hotel he came to for the event. I didn't even know who he was. I was very young, but it was a lovely conversation, and I got a nice pic and autograph from him. I apparently have really good posture. I got fitted for my wedding suit years ago, and the tailor said he had to tweak his usual process for measuring me because I stood up so straight. That may have just been a sales tactic, but other folks have mentioned how straight I stand and sit. It's kinda nice. I have one baby tooth, the adult tooth never showed out behind it. I'm in my mid-50s. I have looped the space shuttle in a simulator, an official NASA shuttle simulator. The loop finished about 10,000 feet below ground. Much less fatal to do that in a simulator than real life. I make most of the people who work for me cry. I am a psychologist that supervises provisional and new psychologists. Our work is intense and often brings up personal issues. The tears are often in realization of what their trigger barrier countertransference is about. I had an ovarian cyst the size of a 6-7-month-old fetus. My Jin, the doctor who surgically removed it, as well said that in all her years of working in the medical field she's never seen anything like that. She even invited in some new residents to ask me questions about it. I'm good at cool machines. I'd go on to out-of-town trips a year, and I was always one of the students going on them. And we'd have all of our meals at Golden Corral, and the other students would give me money to win them things. Did absolutely everything leading up to it right. And on a flight from Boston to London, I fell asleep as soon as we took off, and woke up in time to watch a single episode of Parks and Rec before landing. Flight attendants complimented me on it. That was 10 years ago. Breaking my elbow, shattering it in a fall, and working with it for nearly the entirety of my 10-hour shift. and yet, feeling no pain or discomfort. It was swollen to where it looked like I had a softball growing out of it, but no least until post-op. I would walk around after high school in the halls with a small speaker playing music while walking with my friends. Eventually, it made me a lot of friends with half of the school, that they kind of saw me as the school DJ. I was kind of popular back then. Only a tryout and a scholarship, and both times someone had to drop out and I got in by the skin of my teeth. I'm not the best or the brightest, but I know how to take advantage of an opportunity. I have been shot, stabbed a few times, been beaten to the near death. I have been homeless, spent some time in a county jail for dumb reasons. Growing up with no guidance can lead to interesting experiences. But I'm alive and working on the trauma. I was the bully of bullies in high school. I was in the popular side of H's. Did the sports and stuff but loved academia and nerdy clubs. I would act almost as the bodyguard of the nerds and nobody would fuck with them as long as I was there. I'm good with kids, good at teaching and helping them learn and grow and be happy. Not trying to sound creepy, I work with kids. Parents always say I'm very good, and I always have babysitting requests, lol. This isn't that unusual, I guess. When teens brag about all the stuff they have, like a BMW or all designer clothes, but everyone knows mum and dad paid for it. Yes, you should be thankful for what you have, but don't brag and show off when you did nothing.